Take it easy.
Wait a sec. Is it something of— Oh, today's our big day! We're supposed to leave the Fortress of Mirror.
Please, sign here.
It's been so long since we've been to the surface. Let's hurry up. Huh?
What's happening? I'm fine, thanks. But I wonder what that tremor was just now.
Let's go ask the Duke. Your Grace?
Ah, good to see you two. Is there something you wish to see me?
Yeah, what was with that earthquake just—
Ah, that. The tremor didn't originate from the seafloor. In fact, it seems it came from the surface. Over the years of serving as the warden here, I have developed a sense for distinguishing between what occurs on the surface and what occurs underwater. Besides, the seal that Monsieur Neuvillette set in place—
So the fortress is okay?
If you recall our last incident, if there really were a problem, there would be crowds of inmates in a—
Huh, you've got a point. Okay, seems we need to get back up to the surface and ask about what happened. By the way, do you know what day—
I believe today is this month's pipe cleaning day.
Wait, seriously?
Ah, yes. Have you completed your release papers?
Yep. It's you two. Are you leaving now? That's right! Today is our last day in prison! But now that Paimon says that, it doesn't feel like we were confined here. Oh yeah, Paimon feels fun! Then be sure to come back and visit. I'll miss you.
If you've signed the release papers, then you're free to go. The guards will escort you out.
You're not going to see us off?
I knew you'd ask. All right, sure.
Well, you actually agreed. No worries, you must be busy, but—
Ah, so you do have a polite side, I see.
After being down here for so long, I imagine you must feel like you're lacking companionship. Yeah, don't worry, we'll come back to see you. Paimon really—
I hope you won't be here as convicts the next time I see you.
We'll do our best to— Well, it seems our work in the Fortress of Mirror is finished. That's the end of another chapter. We should probably go report to him now. Next— You're going to see Monsieur Neuvillette? Please pass on our kind regards.
I'm sure just your regards will—
I believe it would be the polite thing to do.
You're right. I've heard the Palais has been terribly busy these days. Tell him that I hope he hasn't been overwhelmed by the recent string of troubles.
The Palais Mermonia sure is buzzing with activity today.
Halt! Huh? Oh, it's you two. Apologies. Monsieur Neuvillette did say you'd be well.
Excuse me. Would you mind helping me take a look at
I'll be right there. Sorry, I've got my hands full here. You can see yourselves in.
Everyone's so busy. Seems a lot has been happening. Neuvillette!
Hello. You've come at the right time, but you'll have to wait for just a moment, as there are some urgent matters I must tend to. In the meantime, please, have a seat. If you'd like to have something to drink, let the Melusine outside know.
That's alright.
Very well, then.
Let's take a break over there while we wait for him to finish.
All right. That should wrap things...
Are you done with your work?
Yes, sorry to keep you waiting. Today should be the day you were released from the Fortress of Meripede, and it appears that you have managed to complete all the release paperwork.
That's right, and we came here to see you right away!
A massive whale.
Do you have any idea what that might be?
Judging from your description, that cannot have occurred in any ordinary waters, but rather something like the primordial sea. A whale of that size and shape cannot usually be found in the waters of Teyvat. Therefore, we can only assume that child is presently immersed in primordial sea.
Immersed in primordial seawater? But how?
Most people wouldn't be capable of entering in the first place. I'm not completely sure how he could have gotten there myself. Yes? What is it?
We asked the Duke and he said it wasn't from underwater, so we...
It turns out that I have just received a report about this particular matter. In fact, that's exactly what I was busy with. The source of the tremor was here on the surface near Poisson. After the shaking stopped, the water levels in the Poisson area rose at an...
The water levels rose? Oh no!
Fortunately, the water levels only rose for a short period of time, and have already returned to normal now. If the change in water levels is connected with the leaking primordial seawater, then the situation in Poisson may be much worse than it appears.
Navia should be in Poisson, right? We need to go
I would also like to go there as soon as possible, but I'm afraid I can't leave just yet. We must immediately formulate disaster prevention plans for the surrounding coastal areas to... I'll have to ask you two to go to Poisson first. I'll meet you there to check on the situation.
There's no time to lose! Let's get going!
Please be careful.
Watch your balance!
All right! I'm not young anymore.
Oh, he looks pretty sad.
My leg! My leg! How could this have happened? It hurts!
Just hang in there. Help is on the way. You can hold my hand if it makes you feel better.
You're here.
We heard there was a situation in Poisson, so we came as quickly as we could.
Yes. As you can see, the water level suddenly rose. It caused quite the disturbance, in fact.
Demoiselle! There was a wounded resident next to a building southeast of here. We've already transported him to safety.
He's wounded?
He fell, so it's probably a broken leg. He's pretty shaken up. When the water level rose, he desperately climbed up to the roof.
He jumped down then? Find the leader of Squad 1 and tell him to take the wounded resident to see a doctor.
Understood. I'll take over his search and rescue mission in the meantime.
All right. I'm sorry. Where were we?
The situation in...
Right. Allow me to explain. A little earlier, we suddenly heard a loud noise. At first, everyone thought that something might have exploded in the waterways. But before we knew it, the rushing water seemed a little odd, almost like the unique color of primordial seawater. Some people didn't realize the danger and thought it was just ordinary water. Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape. As the water levels rose, they suddenly disappeared. Those who realized what was happening started to flee in a panic, desperately trying to get to higher ground. Many were injured in the stampede, and some people fell from significant heights. The Spina di Rosula initiated rescue operations as quickly as possible, but there have been a lot of casualties. The water that flooded the area contained primordial seawater, so the lower levels of Poisson are still hazardous. To ensure no one knows if this could happen again. All we can do for now is try our best to help evacuate the residents. We still haven't completed the head count, but we'll have some numbers soon.
How awful. And all of this just...
It was quite frightening indeed. I only wish...
Is there any way we can help, Navia?
Thank you for being so willing to help in a moment of crisis like this. You don't know how much it means to me.
Don't say that, Navia. That's what friends are for.
Demoiselle! We've got a situation here!
I'll be right... Sorry, I need to go for now.
And out she goes. Seems it might be a while before she can take a break.
Okay, the wounded are being tended to, and we finished a preliminary head count. Of course, we should remain ready for anything, and continue doing our best to rescue others. I'll be sure to have everyone at the Spina di Rosula ready to render assistance. Traveler, Paimon, would you two accompany me?
Huh? Right now?
Thank you. Not a lot of people here, huh?
Well, given the time of day and the whole situation in Poisson, Paimon doesn't think there'd be a ton of people.
Right. That's how things are now. The living are so exhausted that they've no strength to spare any words for the dead.
Navia? Navia, what's wrong?
Sorry. I just... Malus and Silver... They won't ever come back here again. What should I do, Papa?
Huh? What happened to them?
Everyone agreed on the rescue plan, but still... I was the one who initiated it. They were helping evacuate the residents, but they couldn't leave in time, and they were caught in the seawater.
What should we do?
I've known them for so long, and I know they weren't afraid. I could at least hold a funeral for my father, and I know where he rests. But as for Malus and Silver, they're just gone.
Everything looks so clean after it rains. Even the gravestones. I didn't expect that you'd enjoy a glass of...
I can understand.
See, it's not just me. I always want to bring something when I visit Papa.
How could Master ever be upset with you, demoiselle? Yet the cemetery is the home of those who have passed, is it not?
Buying yourself a plot in advance, are you?
No need yet. But when I do, I hope you'll let me be buried beside Master Cal.
Hey, stop joking.
I'm quite serious. That way, it will save us both the trip to see each other whenever you visit your father's grave.
That makes sense. In that case, could I be buried on his...
After all, besides you, demoiselle, the two of us could certainly be considered Master's closest...
Personally, I believe...
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? Seriously. All right. Oh, but I'd really prefer not to talk about this stuff. And what do you mean by saving me a trip? I'd make the journey even if I had to visit you two somewhere else. I'd promised to let them rest in peace here. I'm sorry for letting you see me in a mess like this.
Paimon doesn't know how to help you feel better.
I'd always thought I could make my wishes come true. But now that I think about it, that never solely relied on me. Melus and Silver have helped me so much. I'm so sorry.
You can spend as much time as you need here, Navia. We'll stay with you.
Thank you. Right now, you don't know how much that means. By the way, you can have a look at this. It's a list of victims from the incident that...
Obena, Khan, Burnett, Giverny, Francine, Karina, Daisy Ray, Joinville, Julianne, Esson, as well as Melus and Silver. So, everyone else is safe.
It's okay. I know what you're thinking. The overall outcome indicates that the cost...
Right! Don't think that way, Navia. One person might be saved at the expense of another, sure, but that isn't something we... Melus and Silver were not the price for saving anyone.
You're right. Thank you, Paimon. What you said just now was pretty amazing, actually.
Oh,
Seems you've become more eloquent in the time since we last met.
the knave? What are you doing here?
Is everything going well on your side?
Yes, my people are carrying out the mission according to your request. As for these supplies, we have everything taken care of.
Thank you.
Wait, do you two know each other?
We just met recently. Right, Miss Navia?
Usually, I would call this a coincidental encounter, but that doesn't quite fit this time. Besides, it never even crossed my mind that a Fatui Harbinger would come looking for me. Thanks to the knave, Spina di Rosula received generous support from the Fatui, which allowed us to complete the rescue and evacuation work so quickly.
Mutual aid is essential to fostering positive developments. We were already in the area, in any case, so it was nothing. That said, I must say that you're a lot sharper than you let on. I'm sure you understand what I mean.
I apologize for all the ways in which I tested you previously. We've never worked with a Fatui before. My subordinates have reported that Fatui soldiers have been observing water levels and taking head counts in various locations. I hear that they've also prepared a large amount of emergency supplies.
This is nothing to brag about, nor do I intend to. It is simply the way of powerful organizations to act forcefully, whether they are doing good or ill. As I've told this traveler before, I know of the prophecy, and I intend to prevent the impending disaster. Lending your organization a hand was a natural first step in accomplishing that. As such, do not be troubled by this token of our sincerity.
Without your help, there would have been many more casualties. I won't forget your kindness.
Furthermore, I sincerely regret what happened to Melus and Silver. I only wish that my people could have arrived a little earlier to prevent this.
Don't say that. You and your subordinates did everything you could. As Paimon said, Malus and Silver didn't choose to sacrifice themselves for any specific person. And they weren't the price paid for other salvation. I've never liked hearing people put it that way. It's like trying to relieve pain by saying some noble-sounding words.
You're right. I'm sorry for your loss, Miss. Water is life to Fontaine's people, and it also spells disaster. It's no wonder that people always say that prophecies represent fate. Fortunately, I've never been one for such opinions.
So, you're one who will try to change fate, then?
Of course. That is why I'm going to Hotel Bouffe de Thé. I still have some things to take care of. By the way, Traveler, Paimon, one more thing.
Alright, then we'll just... Huh? This isn't right. Paimon thought you would ask us to walk with you for a moment so you could tell us something in private.
That is a clever and useful conversation technique, which I do like to use when necessary. But there's no need today. It would not hurt to have Miss Navia listening in. Traveler, I'm sure you remember that I said we could work together when You and I both know that there may be issues with the primordial sea. Previously, it was the fortress of Meripede's sluice gate, and this time it was the water levels in Poisson. Indeed. Allow me to share the latest intel I've received from the House of the Hearth's intelligence. During some recent investigations, a child claimed to have discovered some ruins near Poisson. The ruins date back to ancient times, and seem to be worth investigating. Judging by the dating of the ruins, they may be related to the prophecy and the coming crisis. The situation is becoming more urgent, so any pertinent information will prove extremely My people initially came to prepare for ruin exploration. Unexpectedly, this disaster struck.
So that's why the Fatui were already in Poisson.
I wanted to take the children along, but unfortunately, Linny, Lynette, and Fremine have all been dispatched to higher ground to assist affected residents. Linny told me that outside of the house, the person they trust most is you, which is why I want to give you this task. The House of the Hearth's members see each other as family, but Linny, Lynette, and Fremine said that they also see you as such, even though you are not from the house. I'm sure you already understand how earnest they consider their friendship with you to be.
Oh! That somehow makes Paimon feel kinda happy.
The intel I just shared about the ruins could fetch a high price. But since the children consider you family...
Got it! So all we gotta do is go to some ruins, right?
Excuse me, but may I tag along?
You wish to join, Miss Navia?
But are you sure you're up to exploring some ruins?
Well, I'm sad, yes. But I can't just go back and plop myself into a chair by the roadside and do nothing. There's no point in being depressed while we still have a disaster on our hands. Besides, I'm also doing this for myself. I need something... a distraction.
Since you put it that way, I have no objections. All right. The ruins are to the south of Poisson.
Okay, the three of us will handle it. Come on, let's pack up. Ruins the knave was talking about?
They seem to be pretty ancient.
Let's go in and have a look.
Just be careful.
Illusion shattered!
Bow your head. Let the mighty be humble.
Dada Kondala.
There is no escape!
Everyone hold hands! This place has also been contaminated by primordial seawater.
Yeah. And a lot of it, too. A Fontanian would most likely dissolve the moment they fell.
Right! You can't go down if there's primordial seawater. It's too dangerous, and it won't be any help for you to just stay here. Don't get by my wrong. We're not saying you're useless.
No, you're right. I can't do anything in this situation. I'll leave this to you. That complicates things.
In that case, do you want to wait for us here?
The water levels here are unstable, and there's a chance the water will rise. I'll go together with you. Perhaps we'll find the exit just up ahead.
All right. Come with us for now, then. Oh no, it's a dead end! Let's try climbing over from the side.
There's something wrong with this bridge!
Demoiselle?
Huh?
Demoiselle, what are you doing here by yourself? Would you be standing here till dark?
Maybe she just wants some time to herself, Malus.
Oh. Was I sleeping?
Yes, it would appear so.
I must be tired.
That's quite possible. However, you were the one that suggested we go out for a walk.
Oh, right. I nearly forgot. It must have slipped my mind when I dozed off. This is a familiar feeling, yet...
Is something the matter, Demoiselle?
Oh, no. I was just trying to recall why we came out for a walk.
Do you remember Mr. Giverny? He'd requested our help before with foreign merchants who had a debt dispute with him, and
We were headed to see how things were going.
Ah, right.
Oh? Miss Navia,
Ah, Mr. Malus, and Mr. Silver, too.
How have you been?
I've been great. Thanks to your help, those bothersome merchants finally realized that I wasn't the one they were looking for. They were knocking at my door day and night. Even my neighbor, Obina, was getting fed up with them.
Sometimes force is required to calm someone down and...
That's right. Oh, by the way, Burnett, what was it that you wanted to give to Miss Navia again?
Oh, yes, Miss Navia. These are some flower seeds that I prepared. Please take them. They're a very good variety, and they'll become very... I don't know what we would have done without your help. So this is a little token of our appreciation.
Ah, did you cultivate them yourself? Thank you so much.
Why, we can have as many pots as you'd like, demoiselle.
Perfect. In that case, we'll swap out some of the decorative plants for some of Mrs...
Very well.
Wait. Something seems... Excuse me, madam. If I'm not mistaken, your name is...
That's right. Is something wrong?
No, it's nothing. This is the first time we've ever met, but your name seemed familiar to me. I've heard this name before. Sometime recently, I'm sure of it. And why are there so few people around here?
We must mind the time, demoiselle. We still have important things to attend to today.
Huh? We do?
Well, now,
Miss Navia, here you are. I've been looking for you. Please, come to the Opera House. Your trial is about to begin.
My trial? Wait.
Yes, she's right, demoiselle. It's just about time.
Oh? Oh.
Look, it's Navia! She's here!
And her 2 attendants are with her! Goodness, everyone's finally here.
There sure are a lot of people here to see the trial. And they all seem to be oddly... excited about something. Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen. And as for the judge... huh? Where's Monsieur Neuvillette?
Please sit in the defendant's seat. Don't worry, Silver and I shall accompany you.
All right. But are you sure you can stay?
Typically, it wouldn't be allowed, but today is an exception.
Hey, what kind of place do they think this is?
Come on, do they have any idea what they're doing?
Enough with the whispering! Could someone please tell me where Monsieur Neuvillette is?
My dear Miss Navia, have you not yet realized what you've done? In that case, allow me to explain. As all here know, you are Master Callus's successor, the head of the Spina di Rosula. After you took over the Spina, you treated all of us just like the late Master Callus had. If anyone, not only you, but your butler, your subordinates, nearly everyone in the Spina di Rosula...
Wait a moment. Aren't you just proved...
Yes, correct. Absolutely right. And we are one big family, all of us who are from Poisson, inextricably. Therefore, this fair and honorable court shall declare you guilty, and you shall stay here. You...
Huh? What are you saying? Everything you have said is correct. I have indeed done a lot for my hometown, and I would be willing to be with you all, but what is...
Oh, well, if that's what you think, then I have...
How wonderful, Miss Navia!
I know all these people. Why are they laughing?
I seem to remember now. Yes, I get it. This trial is...
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
Malus?
What was that, Mr. Malus? Our conclusion is very clear and unanimous. Let the court judge her now.
Stay here, Navia! You're one of us!
Demoiselle, don't admit guilt. This trial means to keep you here forever.
I wish to exercise my right to defend Our Lady. Mistress Ronville, you only know of Navia's goodness, but nothing of her utterly independent...
She was born a free and independent spirit.
Her actions cannot serve as proof that she identifies herself as part of any group. Please do not mistake her actions as being other.
Really? As an individual, you say? Don't forget, we are all Fontanians here. Even if Miss Navia only voluntarily rendered her assistance, that doesn't change the fact that her beauty... Everything is measured here in the nation of Hydro. And in the end, everyone shall meld together. Now, I speak for everyone. Our opinion is consistent. Navia should stay. We and Navia are one.
And you would call this justice? Preposterous. You are merely jealous that Demoiselle still has a chance to exist as an individual. Have you forgotten how much you all once longed to become individuals?
Do you mean to defy our justice?
If your justice is flawed, then why should we acknowledge it?
As you said, we can also have our own justice. Silver and I shall defend Demoiselle, and that is how we will enforce.
My head... it hurts.
Demoiselle!
Silver, it hurts. My head is... I remember now. Everything that seemed odd from the very beginning. Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen, and Mr. Giverny and Mrs. Burnett, who we met earlier. Even Malus and Silver. I don't want to admit it, but they're all dead.
Don't be afraid, and don't admit guilt. We will protect you to the very end.
Absurd! Who are you to say that she cannot be judged? We are the majority. Don't let them escape! We should—
Mr. Malus and Mr. Silver, must you be so stubborn? How could the two of you possibly hope to stand against the collective? Do not resist. This judgment is fair and just. Navia belongs to us. After all that happened, she should not be left alone in Poisson.
What are you saying?
No more excuses!
He says we're jealous. Jealous? How could she possibly be an independent individual?
What's with these people?
Who's jealous of her?
She belongs to us!
Miss Navia, she...
Silence!
That's... Monsieur Neuvillette!
Such commotion is prohibited in the court. The accusations you just presented are nonsense and cannot constitute a proper trial. The court will adjourn for the rest of the day. In this, I shall hear no objections from any unauthorized party.
Our thanks, Miss...
Please leave with me, Miss Navia, while there is still time.
But...
Go on now, Demoiselle. This is your only chance to leave this place.
Malus.
My apologies. I couldn't resist making one little joke once I realized that this shall be our last goodbye.
Malus. Silver.
Quickly, you must come now.
Goodbye, Demoiselle.
Farewell.
No, wait! Just a second!
Navia?
You're awake? Good.
I must have been dreaming. Malus and Silver were still alive, and they were defending me at...
It looks like you're all right.
Did all the sad feelings cause you to have a nightmare?
The ruins you were exploring suffered a cave-in. When I arrived, I found you falling toward the water. You were just about to be dissolved within, but I...
What is it?
I think I saw 2 Oceanids protecting you. It was only for a moment, perhaps even a fraction of a second, but they gave me the chance to retrieve you. Were it not for their intervention, I would not have been able to rescue you before your consciousness dissipated.
Wait, did you say Oceanids?
Perhaps those 2 Oceanids were the people you saw in your dream.
I always told them that they didn't have to protect me. To think that they'd keep doing so even after death.
Please come with me.
Neuvillette, are Are you okay?
Oh, I am quite all right. Perhaps there's something we could chat about?
Why do you look so stiff all of a sudden? Oh, Paimon knows. You're the type who feels awkward when there's nothing to talk about, right?
I merely thought that we should give Navia some time to herself.
Huh? Why didn't you just say so then?
I suppose so. Ah, Sigewinne. I hope all is well with her these days. Her work in the Fortress of Meropide has not been too much for her, has it?
No way! Don't worry. She's doing fine down there. She's an amazing head nurse.
I see. Well, that is good. I have always worried that Sigewinne would need a lot of time to understand the world of humanity, just as I have.
Oh, and the Duke also says hi! Even though Sigewinne made him do that.
Thank you. I have indeed been busy lately, and I also hope that everything is going well in the Fortress of Meropide.
He still doesn't know what to talk about. Let's chat about something else then. So, Neuvillette, you're probably quite the swimmer, huh?
Yes, of course.
This isn't going anywhere. Let's try something else.
Yes, in fact. I had arranged to meet you in Poisson, but when I arrived, I discovered that the Fatui were helping the residents evacuate. Amid my astonishment, I ran into the knave, and we had a chat. She informed me that she had asked you to investigate the ancient ruins here.
Yeah, we originally planned to meet up with you, but we thought you might still be busy with all those official documents.
I'm sorry to have kept you all waiting like that. I'm feeling much better now. I guess we should get going again. Will you come with us, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind my company.
Oh, right! Another one joins the party! Let's keep going then!
Nada Kondala.
Another unstable path. Watch your step.
There is no escape.
I see everything. Watch out! There are rocks falling over here! We're almost at the top. Keep it up! Hey! Take yourselves a move!
Settle down! The tides beckon.
Nada
Looks like we've reached the end.
This is the place. There should not be any other hidden spaces in the vicinity.
The path sure had some twists and turns, but it turns out that this place isn't actually that big.
slates? It seems like they were put here as an offering.
Perhaps we should just leave them be for now.
There are 4 locations in total, but only 3 stone slates. The slate that should be in the first empty spot is missing.
The surrounding walls also show signs of damage.
There's something written below. Let Paimon see. Reason dictates that this nation be destroyed. I shall record the history of its future here in its past.
It feels like someone left these slates and these words here for a purpose.
That would fit the circumstances dictated by the prophecy, yes. Indeed, the slate's contents correspond to it.
There's a person kneeling here. She seems so dedicated. And there's a whole bunch of other people behind her doing the same. She's facing this... what is this? Some kind of island in the sky?
And is that Lady Furina in the 3rd image? Did the Hydro Archon fall into the water?
And is that a ring of people around her?
The 4th image. I know this one. This exactly matches the content of the prophecy.
The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne. More information should be hidden in these slates, but I fear I cannot easily uncover it. Most likely due to us missing the first slate.
Don't blame yourself, Monsieur Neuvillette. Deciphering ancient stone slates is...
Ooh, Paimon's getting the chills just looking at these. This says that it's the history of the future, right? That means the prophecy's sure to come true.
I really hope it doesn't mean that.
Still, Paimon feels like these images are kind...
That's right! If the images are in chronological order, shouldn't the 4th, the waters drowning Fontaine, come before the 3rd, where the Hydro Archon herself falls into the water?
And yet the order is reversed here.
If we go by timing, Lady Furina only emerges in the 3rd image. That means that the person in the 2nd image might be the previous Hydro Archon.
Egeria, then. I had never met her, but her appearance here does match the records. The previous Archon kneeling before the floating island in the skies, as if confessing a sin.
Did she herself commit that sin? And if not, why would she be in such a posture? Also, I'm still wondering why these ancient stone slates are here at all. Judging from their contents, could this place be the origin of the prophecy?
But who would have created these slates and left the...
It seems that any further clues will have to come from Furina.
In that case, there's no time to lose. There's nothing else to be gained here, so...
Yeah, we better get somewhere safe for now.
Let's split up here. I'm going to check on what's happening with the Spina. You know how it is.
You still have energy for that, Navia?
Just head back to the Fleuve Cendre and have a rest then.
I'll depart as well. Thanks for your hard work today. Traveler, I will go talk to Furina tomorrow morning to ask. I'm sure that you're concerned about this matter as well. If you have time, drop by my office. I will share the results of our discussion.
Are you really going to talk to her about this directly? Will that be a problem?
She has long been harboring secrets, and will not give them up easily.
Alright, we'll leave it in your hands then.
I will be carefully considering my words to...
Traveler, Paimon, our safe house at the Fleuve Cendre is always open to you, as ever. Alright, I'll be on my way then.
We're finally back!
Welcome back. We've got a special menu prepared for you two tonight.
Yay! And there's good food too! Paimon's already starting to forget what happened today.
Oh, that voice. Is that who I think it is?
Huh?
It's you two. What are you doing in Fontaine? Seriously, nobody just uses a scry glass whenever they've got time to just see who they'll meet on the road.
Still, we didn't expect to see you here.
Well, I have some business to attend to here, so I booked a hotel in the city. I was just out for a stroll when I bumped into you. Why did you think I was from Fontaine, though? Is that because Magistus doesn't sound much like a Mondstadter surname? Well, I used to have my own surname, which was, well, some other thing. Either way, the old hag told me when she took me as her disciple that the first step to being a great astrologist's pupil was to change that name. There was nothing for it, really. She really is amazing at astrology, so I changed my name to what it is now according to her wishes. To my... Nope. Although it is used by us in place of surnames, it generally just means great.
Wow! Imagine including a boast in your name. Wait!
I reckon so. In any case, I'd give my disciple a name like this as well. The Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus.
Whoa, that's a long one. Does it also mean great?
My name means Mona the Great Astrologist. As for the old hag, hers is, in plain speech, the thrice as great Scholar of the Stars.
Thrice as great? That's so petty.
I know, right? That's just how she is. She used to call herself Magistus, actually, but when she took me in, she changed her name to Trismegistus.
Talk about excessive.
Magistus is thus the calling card of our school, so to speak, which makes it about the same as a surname. It's all right if you don't get it. You can look into it further should you need to study astrology more deeply.
That sounds terrible! But anyway, you're not Fontanian, are you, Mona?
Well, I was born in Mondstadt, yes. My parents migrated to Dorman Port, and I traveled with the old hag for a while.
Oh, that's a good thing then. At least we know you...
Speaking of that, I'm sure you're aware that a bunch of things have happened here in Fontaine, right? I know you're not a local, but I'd avoid getting too close to any... There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean. That was the main reason, yes. Just a while back, the Steambird invited me to take part in a panel and speak about the circulation of the prophecy. The invitation was sent quite early on. I don't think anyone expected Fontaine to be...
What do you make of that prophecy, Mona? Just tell us what you think as an astrologist.
What I can tell you is that I'm an astrologist, and that this prophecy concerns the fate of Fontaine. Even that of all Tevat. I'm afraid that this is not something that just anyone can do. If I could do it, you would no longer call me an astrologist. But on the flip side, the prophecy is so huge and powerful that it must surely come from a powerful visionary.
A visionary? Sounds really powerful and all, but does such a person really exist?
Of course. The old hag could do it, and I'd bet there are others amongst those Hexenzirkel colleagues of hers who could do something similar. Are you sure? All right, I'll help you.
Thanks, Mona. You're amazing.
Oh, well, this is something only I can do after all.
That's the greatest of astrologists for you.
Indeed.
Oh, sorry. I came to see what all the commotion was about. If there's anything you need, do not hesitate to inform the Spina di Rosula.
Oh, whoops. Guess we were getting a little too carried away there. Well, I'll go tend to my own business now.
And there she goes, quick as rushing water. And here we are with the Spina guy giving us suspicious looks. Right, but we were able to recruit Mona's help, didn't we? Good morning. To be honest, Paimon's still feeling kind. But it's time to get up, traveler. We agreed to go see Neuvillette, so
You're here!
Is something...
Monsieur Neuvillette and Lady Furina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute!
Like I said, I've already explained everything!
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Foçalors, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean... they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you said?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Furina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into... There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and that's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Furina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh! You noticed! Seems Furina didn't even realize we were here.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot... Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refuting? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but...
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
But Furina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this. But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world.
That's what family should do.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No.
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, has brought us together to discuss something. As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create a series of traps.
Oh, how intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy oratory tricks to impress your boss.
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall. Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, oh, right. You were sick that day.
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before.
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. So, if we were to build a trap together...
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait, and naturally, and our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the ball.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person.
And I can be their assistant. With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey.
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment device and if we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait, why is...
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it.
So are we going hunting together?
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate. But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going on.
Take it easy.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long. Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else, it's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of... After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all. Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I merely refrained from saying anything till now.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here.
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may...
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Teyvat so easily be changed? So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive.
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and...
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality.
The voice... it's gone. Alright. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more... Not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and...
Did she have pink hair by any...
Why, yes! It was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That daredevil journalist. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be...
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times, but I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... Well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now.
I see. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. But even so, I still hope for, and believe in, miracles. Perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone. I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone.
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles. It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like going... Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper. Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meropide, has continued in its noble autonomy. But that does not mean that others cannot interact. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blonde adventurer with their white fairy, legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades. Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier... Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so... Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go!
1 slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Neuvillette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today. No, it's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on. That's what people call living, you know.
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon's sure this cake will be delicious. gets even better with a sip of tea. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food. Oh, we're near the Seabird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you.
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now,
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a...
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary...
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to...
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow?
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I'm not... If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to be... So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successful, and then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my...
That's so nice. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do? No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do? We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing? Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Neuvillette sent me to look for you two before. Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of... Yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared...
A riot?
Well, that said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Furina was watching a performance at the Opera House. And while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly started loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to...
So people have started to put the blame on Furina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first.
So what happened after that is for...
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of it. The Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Furina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Marechaussee has dispatched many people to search for her. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Good. Monsieur Neuvillette sent me to tell you about...
Don't worry, this is more than enough to...
Ah, is that so? Well, all right.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Foçalors then. If we know Furina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic. When Neuvillette was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Foçalors, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the... Paimon thinks Furina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Foçalors and... Huh! Well, what do you think? In that case, there's not a moment to lose. Foçalors? This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Furina really be here? Let's try to... That's Furina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Furina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do other than to repeat? Who's that?
Don't worry, Furina. It's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land.
Furina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this month. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? They even dared to tout their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Neuvillette and those people from the Marechaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them. Of course not!
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Furina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line. That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Furina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Furina! There's a good hiding spot over here! Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you!
What? What is this place?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. tired. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they display. You're right.
Yep.
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson.
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neuvillette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother.
Yeah, but the people of Poisson, they've already... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea, but all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me, for we cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and open just now. It all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Foçalors, the god of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, What is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not—
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in— But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine.
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this—
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait.
So, you mean— the ones who scoured the settlement for me were—
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontaine.
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epic, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Areneas. Was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such—
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct a giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through—
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Neuvillette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediate, also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial make—
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine— As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto— Oh? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the hit.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant, of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud, who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Furina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Foçalors, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine.
Yeah, even though Lady...
Yeah, I've never questioned...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Furina's claims...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live?
That doesn't... First of all, you may be a member of another...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use
a curse. I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neuvillette?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what... For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse...
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us?
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder while the court is in session. The principles of justice and the law must come before all else. Well, you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital...
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon.
The real Hydro Archon? It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no...
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to...
My power as an Archon.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the...
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons, thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide...
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? Please?
If what the prosecutor said is true...
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. Can dissolve in water from the primordial sea.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my closest. So, Miss Furina, would you dare to touch some of the seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rosula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years.
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare?
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal...
Miss Siegeween? If you are present, Miss Siegeween, please come forward.
Siegeween? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial...
Thank you, Miss Siegeween. Lady Furina, you may return to the defendant.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove...
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around... However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to this...
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an... It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used.
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold... Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water? Please, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your...
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Furina.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale to render the... According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale...
Well, what's wrong? What's the...
No, the oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped.
Furina's been sentenced to death by the oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil...
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Furina. So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. The first stone slate describes what you just said. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that
We know from the case of the serial and the first stone slate tells this might be the reason that Fontainian... Perhaps what is the true sin of the high and the original sin? It's not as simple as falling into the sea when not the stone slates. The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
they'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Foçalors. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter... The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now, but then it feels like we're going to have to share...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their base. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the... So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within.
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a... However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not want to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints. And, of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, a key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans, rather they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deduction about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yet? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin,
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen to... That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all... It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, and once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontainians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food.
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been...
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like that. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive.
That's not... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last...
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers!
You...
I'm sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing.
You are not Furina.
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Foçalors.
Foçalors? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass, and as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving every... I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principle. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon, alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydra Archon in the prophecy, under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Foçalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from... I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, I understand your admiration. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Foçalors. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Take it easy.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Look down!
Busted! Furina. Furina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid.
Wait a moment. You're... mirror me?
Mirror you, huh?
Mirror me.
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. I know. I think the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the high...
Oh, very...
What's going on? I can't seem to...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist and I will tell you how to save everyone. But you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, I will. But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway. If there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain...
I suppose this would also be the justice that...
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its hydro...
Play as...
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy.
But how will I do that?
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into being a human yourself. I'm sure you already know. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity.
I'm still... So, how long am I...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. But I promise you, all will eventually...
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest... Ladies and gentlemen, good evening! And I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to... As the god Foçalors, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of... Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or this should I thought I might stammer, but thankfully—
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses—
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestion.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Me said that I'd calm down, Furina. Think. Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One... Now, I was wondering if some weak... Well, it seems that you would all see. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a Now then,
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were in...
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best, my dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that the scales of justice may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play. There is no trouble in this world that so long as I, the Archon Foçalors, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I...
Lady Furina, here are today's case reports as...
Come now. Besides, none of...
if I may be so impertinent...
A magnificent, dramatic, and what...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties.
Lady Furina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. All right.
He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent... You're such a gentle and wise God. Thank you once again, on behalf of my son.
Lady Furina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this. All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come...
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't...
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has... The day is finally over, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine.
Lady Furina, here are the new trial reports.
There'll be no...
Lady Furina, I've...
Indeed, my dear Lloyd.
Lady Furina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near...
Understood. Keep monitoring. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Furina, it's like a dream. I've heard that the first member of our family... Are you crying?
This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No wonder.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I have conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart. I must...
Furina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right...
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you... And if to that is... If that's the case... She's right. I could confide in her. But if things don't play out as expected... No, Furina. You shouldn't be... But what if... Furina, you've worked so hard. Is it such if you let the think about it? Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance.
Fine.
So even Furina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. She did very well. If she had let her resolve, it seems that trusting humanity was...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But how would you build on this foundation to save the people of
Good. Of course the Iudex of Fontaine has pimped... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine.
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Linny did mention that he heard a human voice within the court. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the...
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would... Alas, your understanding of this device... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy my work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontanians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking...
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Furina nor Foçalors. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be...
returning what's rightfully yours to you. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sop.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons... I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that so, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's origin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and their right to exist in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we... whether it be my Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, at last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they... You are a devious one, Foçalors. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Codex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
But... Didn't you say just a moment...
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the... We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Find a way to attack it from within. We shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power. We shall look for an opening. I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility. Cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder.
That power. Who are you
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire... So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master.
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then? Or Gold Rhindaughter?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhindaughter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhindaughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Foçalors has already managed to deceive the heaven.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
initiate emergency rescue! Receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
To meet with Miss Navia. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Skyship Winglet, boon or bane of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute. People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and...
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, the value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home.
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we watch everything happen from start to finish?
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubator.
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several times?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on, let's head to Poisson first.
Oh, it's you.
Hey, we're just having a look.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here.
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supplies. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about Fontaine's stray cats. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here.
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible.
That would be fine.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another hour before the workers...
Huh? You're here.
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Furina.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision-makers. And, well, I do already happen to be connected to Mr. Callis.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel.
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better...
I see you're the same as all.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let her off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up.
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get that interview with you after all.
Wow, you really do have...
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the fort.
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess too.
That's a very complete information chain.
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the fortress become so friendly towards the... I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that Ridsley will make a personal appearance.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them.
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feel.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Dude! Did you come all the way to the...
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom our good head nurse...
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke!
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview.
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. Miss Charlotte, do these...
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside...
Sir, please don't say things like that.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it.
No, I just... This is my first time being interviewed and...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed chatting with you more. The boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh. Looks like Charlotte's trying to get her...
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to...
Really? Well, then in that case...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another photo...
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this?
Ah, Sigewinne.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you, take some pretty photos of... Sure. Come on, Miss Sigewinne. Over this way. Let's...
Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the fortress?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some changes, but this place is still more or less the same.
Other than that flying ship, it got a tad too much attention.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind...
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have...
I'll just leave... I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger...
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the bad being that they must face extended sentences.
Oh, actually, what about you?
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will my duty. As to what Miss Furina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to—
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go.
There'll be a next—
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the under... All right, last stop, the docks. Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together.
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of get?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal, but if you see any of your things floating around...
Trick a friend.
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by, I'll help you make...
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Sure. Please, write down my address.
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine himself.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step. He'll become a part of our show eventually.
Lynette, could you come over?
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she realized I had... Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events. She's very grateful for your contribution.
That's all right. We were more than happy to help.
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. After Lady Furina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as a diplomatic gift.
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his help in tying the all-devout... Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and Poisson.
Well, that's true, but this is a gnosis we're talking about. Doesn't this seem a bit...
I would agree, but I've also heard that... It seems that Monsieur Neuvillette has had a significant change of heart regarding the matter.
So there's some reason for this that only Neuvillette...
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes, speaking of which...
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic. The gnosis was given to the knave, right? What about Chap?
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui. To think we'd be allied with them this time.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the...
Are you going to take the gnosis back to Snezhnaya?
That is our duty as harbingers. Yes. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it is inevitable that we must wear many masks. Switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things.
No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't rely on it forever? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right. I'll remember to return it. Thank you for keeping it safe for him this entire...
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to report to.
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our dear magician.
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant. I shall continue my walk while the weather remains so agreeable. Farewell.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled dinner.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one.
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I was giving out I guess this must be life. We will all follow our own paths. All right, then. We'll be handing out pockets in some other districts later, so...
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go see what Neuvillette's doing? The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Neuvillette! Kinda didn't think you were going to have...
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me earlier when he... In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? Philip?
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter taste in the mouth when it...
Whoa. So that's what happened? Foçalors destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you. But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from disaster.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the Hydro... Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true... In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the primordial sea.
Foçalors must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophet... Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Foçalors finally managed to fulfill the original...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. At most, he would have had 10 gens. As for the judgment passed by the... Whether it was due to that liability by association, or Foçalors deliberately using him to buy time for...
Guess Foçalors had Fontanians in mind the whole time. And, hang on a second. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, Were the children they had also transformed?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come to the...
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine...
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would
Paimon sorta gets it now.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that.
Ah, Lady Furina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post. I related Foçalors' words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither. She simply said that she was tired. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the opera house.
But she's still got a place to...
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for... In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Foçalors the Hydro Archon, she can finally...
What about you, then? What are your...
After Foçalors passed on, the Oratrice also ceased. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our court.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex.
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty... As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Udex. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another...
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the... Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay.
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic...
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis' power. As such, it has lost all meaning for If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of gratitude to the...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the Knave that I believe may be useful to you. The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a Fatui Harbinger doing their thing.
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon still got a... When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had... We guessed that there might be some reason for it, that only you were...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. So regarding this specific issue,
what is...
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as...
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. What it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak of.
Of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Foçalors' divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts. And my reason for no longer wishing to return to...
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger, then.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special compatibility, right? No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels creepy, comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
All right. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine's over for now.
Yes. All of Foçalors' efforts were for...
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human.
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, they will one day return to the earth as raindrops. Life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may sometimes tilt one way or another, but the rain falls fairly upon. And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rains that fall upon all of us?